Hi, my name is Stephanie, and today I'm going to be reacting to Jubilee's video on if all autistic people think the same.
I'm going to refer to myself, I'm going to say autistic person, but you can say either or and I won't give a crap. My name's Jay, I'm 19. I was diagnosed late with autism. You know, there's no way to look autistic, it's just a whole spectrum of people.
I'm Josiah, I'm 18. At first I was really unsure about it because it sounded like it was bad, but I started to realize that autism is more like me than it is a disease.
My name is Shayna Crashen, I'm 23. Autism is more prevalent than people think, and just if we can make the world more aware and acceptable towards it, it'll just be a lot easier for everybody.
I am Christopher Carroll, I am 38 years old. I like to act. Is that not related to autism?
I'm Yoni, I'm 19, and I am an artist of all types. I really am proud to have autism. It makes me see the world differently, and that's totally awesome.
My name is Joseph. Just because I communicate different doesn't mean I do not understand.
My name is Bella. I'm 22 years old. In high school, I couldn't really talk, so I was like nonverbal. I've just become more confident in myself and...
Okay, I don't know why I'm like super emotional right now, but I'm like really happy that they involved like people who are non-speaking and just like a lot of different people. And I know we're not even done with the introductions, but I just had to say that. It just makes me happy.
More confident in myself and being able to talk to other people.
I consider the term special offensive. 3, 2, 1, go.
I do find it to be somewhat of a bad label. This person is special, as in too different to function, I guess.
Special could be used as something good, but it can also be used as, you know, something like, oh, like, why aren't you hanging out with them? Oh, because they're special. Like, you know, like they're the other, they're less than, and we're not less than, we're different.
I feel like it can make neurotypical people feel better, like it's like the right word to say, and like it just sounds nicer to them, but in reality I think it's just more offensive if you're like using it with that kind of tone and inflection.
When I think about special in the terms of autism, I think about special ed. And for me, it's like, why is it special to have some extra accommodations or to learn a different way? Like, it's not special ed, it's extra support ed.
I agree a lot. The word special can mean pretty much anything. It's just the way that people take it, and I don't think that's fair.
We are all special.
I like that answer,
Like
Joe.
that, yeah. Yes.
I have trouble making friends. 3, 2, 1, go.
It's hard for me to make friends because I am nonverbal.
Yeah, I didn't really start making friends until I started college because I wasn't like in a lot of activities and stuff. I just always wanted to be by myself, and I always found it hard to talk to people.
I had a bit of a hard time making friends, and so I was basically on my own for a while. But until I went to junior high, I went to a private school. Their whole entire goal was to basically like make a community that are just trying to find friends and stuff like that. So that's why I'm on the somewhat disagree, because it's like I have plenty of friends now.
Sorry, I'm grinning because this is the second time I've seen people kind of slide from the strongly disagree line towards the slightly disagree line. I don't know why that cracks me up, it just does.
I honestly don't have trouble making friends. I talk to everyone I meet, and everyone I meet I kind of make friends with. I don't know, it just comes naturally to me. I just say, hey, let's be friends, and they're like, yeah, and it happens.
When you first meet somebody, I'm good at the initial like talking and friend thing, but it's when like the long term and you know, it just gets too complicated and then...
I can be friendly with people, but I feel like a lot of times it's surface level. So like what Yoni, I think, said about like, oh, I can make friends with everybody. Yeah, but like I guess I look for a lot of depth in my friendship to like consider it a friendship. So I wonder if, you know, we're not defining friend the same way. Like people will still be friendly and be like, oh yeah, we're friends, but like, are we friends? You know what I mean?
Like, also I just find like I don't like a lot of people, and so like of course not a lot of people are gonna like me. So it's just so it's just like some would agree.
Well, I guess for me, it's just, I also have social anxiety, so it's never been easy for me to make friends, but sometimes I just feel better being by myself and doing my own thing, and when you go out and you meet people, you have to really push yourself to, you know, to know what to say and to know what not to do, and you don't stim and stuff like that, so it's just harder to go out and have that whole mental energy put towards that when you can just be yourself by yourself. But I do have some friends, so that's why I'm here, not there.
When I was younger, I had social phobia, and I spent a lot of childhood just living or playing inside my own head, which didn't exactly seem to help me with people skills.
Yeah, it can trigger things. You can like trigger a meltdown like you don't want to have to deal with.
Sensory issues.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah, I was just saying I feel, yeah.
Being diagnosed with autism.
Oh my God, that's
Understand myself more. 3, 2, 1, go.
Wow.
Well, for years and years, I was wondering, like, why is the music in the car where no one else is saying it's loud? Why is it hurting me? Why can't I make friends easily? Why am I not picking up on sarcasm? I feel like it really did help me understand myself because I stopped feeling so bad.
My body and brain sometimes work against each other.
When I first read the, what do they call, like, it's not symptoms, like.
Criteria.
What?
Criteria.
Yeah, the criteria.
Okay. These are my people. Oh my God. Okay. Like, I'm sorry. Okay. This seems like such an abnormal reaction. This is a thing with me. I react very strangely sometimes to things. But like this whole interaction, like, oh, I know that word. You don't know the word. I got you. I know that word. Like, I don't know why. It's just like, this resonates with me so much. Oh my gosh.
For autism, it was like mind-blowing because it was like reading something I didn't even know existed and could be put into words. Like I said, I thought everybody was just dealing with it and hiding it better. And I've turned to so much more self-love since I found out about my diagnosis just 2 years ago. It's just been like probably the most freeing thing for me.
I actually used to have meltdowns like daily. I would just get so angry and nobody knew why.
Yeah,
and I
just
didn't
for little
know
things
why.
would just pop it off.
And I realized that after I got diagnosed with autism, everybody around me noticed how less angry and how less my meltdowns were because you start to know how to prevent them because you start to know what's making you melt down.
This is why it is so important, in my opinion, that people have access to this information. And when parents find out, you know, hey, the child is autistic, not telling them can cause that kind of frustration. Like, what is wrong with me? What is going on? Why am I like somehow broken, but there's not something wrong with me? Like, just the degree to how they were saying that helped them to be like, oh, this is a thing and it makes sense and I'm not messed up and it's not that people somehow figure everything else out better than me. Like, there's a reason, I guess.
Well, I think I have to say I somewhat disagree because I've not actually been diagnosed. No one's tested me for autism.
Gotcha.
So what do we go by? Just simply what a doctor happens to say on any given day? Or
What made you want to come today?
a few doctors have said I have autism, although at least twice as many doctors I've known have said I do not.
What do you believe?
As
Or do
of
you just
now,
not care?
I believe I do have autism somewhere, but I can't say I agree with the diagnosis because I don't actually have a diagnosis.
Gotcha.
Are you planning to get one in the future?
I don't know anyone who will give me one.
That's a big issue, actually. They're crazy expensive and crazy hard to get.
I got
It's like a whole ordeal.
I got one from my psychiatrist because I was already under his care.
Yeah, it really does help me, especially to find a different route with education. Like, I had a huge problem with mathematics and stuff like that. And now after I got diagnosed and I'm going to the school that helps typically with autism, it's like now I'm doing statistics. It does really help. It really helps me to understand how my brain works and how I can get help.
When they pan out to show everybody, you know, over on here and him on this side, it breaks my heart because I know how he feels. And this is just like a visual representation of that separate feeling. Like, I'm pretty freaking sure I have autism, but especially for him, he has being older in age against him. Obviously, money is a factor here. There's obviously something going on there, just from his social awkwardness, like not being rude, just saying visually. And yet he feels like I can't say that I, you know, found, you know, a better understanding or whatever with my diagnosis because I don't have one. And like, just seeing like how really sad he seems, it really reminds me of me before I got my diagnosis. Like it's just this big barrier, and it just sucks so bad to like know that this is like 98% chance this is what this is, but you have to have that, you know, that doctor say that, and this whole process to go through, and until you can stand on this side of the line and say, oh yeah, well now I get accommodations, or I can understand what's gonna lead to things because I understand that they exist, and this might be why. And it breaks my heart because he just seems so sad, and I understand that.
And because I know that my brain works differently, I see the world in a more creative aspect, thinking outside of the box, and I'm over here like, I'm outside of the, you
can't even find the box.
Out of the box? I'm outside of the circle. I'm in the galaxy, excuse me. The shapes are around me, and I'm outside of all of them.
It bothers me when people pity me. 3, 2, 1, go.
I get pity for a lot of things. Because I don't have only autism, I have multiple mental illnesses and medical conditions too, and everyone, when I like tell them all of them, they're like, how can you be happy? Your life sounds difficult. I'm like, it's not that, like, it's just what I know. It doesn't have to be the end of my world, and I don't like getting pity for the things I have, because just because I'm disabled doesn't mean my life necessarily sucks because of that.
Yeah, I only said somewhat disagree because I grew up like really obsessively masking. I don't think people pity me. I think the opposite. I think people have very high expectations of me because I can kind of mask and present that. I think that most people forget I'm autistic and don't treat me with some of the help I need and have a lot less patience for it. And so I don't know how much I'm pitied. More of the time I'm not believed. I've even had like therapists try to like convince me I'm not. I have to like teach them about it, and then they say I'm not. So it's very frustrating.
I can't change the way I am, so instead of pity, I want people to try to understand and accept me the way I am.
Don't pity me, like be with me, like be with me in the moment. Like don't feel bad for me, like as if you can't do anything. Like treat me like I am just a normal person.
So like growing up, people used to like baby me, and now like I look at being 22, I look back and it's like they just should have probably treated me like a normal child.
Because that can be a hindrance in itself, people babying you. That can
Exactly.
be another added knock that you don't, you know.
Makes me feel like I can't be my own person.
Yeah.
I used to have that problem with a lot of people. Like, they would be like, oh, it's okay, we're all a little autistic or something like that. And it's like, no, I hate that comment so much, and I get it so many times.
I hate that comment too.
Yeah.
We're not all autistic. Just because you have like, you relate to like a couple of the things on the traits doesn't mean that you're autistic necessarily. You have to have more than just 3 things, you know?
Yeah.
Then you're just being a person. If you just relate to a few, it's like you're human too.
I would rather not have autism. 3, 2, 1, go.
I strongly disagree because if I didn't have autism, I wouldn't be the same exact person.
Part of my identity, would I really be the same person if I didn't have autism? But I think I have to stick with just somewhat because I haven't actually been diagnosed with autism, so.
Another thing is that the issues and the struggles that like I have with being somebody with autism is like that I encounter day to day mostly have to do with the fact that I'm living in a neurotypical world, not that I have autism, if that makes sense. So I would much rather live in a world that's more aware of autism or a less neurotypical heavy world. That would be what I would rather change, not changing myself.
I may have autism, but that makes me who I am, and I wouldn't change it if I had the choice.
Preach, Joe, preach.
Preach, I feel that.
That's why I prefer diagnosis first language, like autistic person, than people with autism, because personally it's like my autism makes up me. It's not just like a part of me. Like my diabetes is a part of me. My pancreas not working doesn't affect the way I act, the way I am, but my autism affects the way I see the world, the way I process, the way I feel things, the way I go about things and socialize. And even though I don't like everything about myself, I don't think that being not autistic would make me love myself suddenly. I think it's just about the fact that I just need to work on accepting myself more in general. So I feel like I'd rather have my autism because it's made me me.
Yeah, I would say personally, like I'm a person with autism, but I also don't care really how people use it. I remember when they started saying like autistic person versus person with autism, I was like, oh, okay.
I don't care that much.
Exactly.
It's just
I
if
don't
I had
care
to
either.
pick,
Yeah.
like you call me either, but if I had to pick personally, like if I'm gonna refer to myself, I'm gonna say autistic person, but you can say either or and I won't give a crap.
Because to me, I see it as like a neurotypical community being like, oh, we just need to be as nice as we possibly can. And it's just, I don't know. I feel like I've never heard an autistic person freak out about it, really. I always hear neurotypical people freaking out about it.
What I like about this is you see different autistic people decide, hey, I'd rather be an autistic person, word-wise, and this person would prefer to be person with autism, but aren't really bothered by either or. And I think this is an important message maybe to even our own community, that there are autistic people who prefer person with autism, and that's also okay. Another thing I would like to point out here in involving someone who is nonverbal is that with giving him his speech device and letting him speak for himself, that means a lot to me, because most people assume anyone with like nonverbal autism or who needs a lot of support, who needs someone to be with them, they assume that person would be happier if they weren't autistic. And moving on, with whatever we end up doing in our lives as human beings, when it comes to that whole cure or not to cure kind of conversation, I think that it is very important to include the voices of the person it's going to affect. And I think it should be on an individual basis, because there are people who don't want to be autistic, but to just assume, that a whole like group of autistic people, just because you think so, don't want to be autistic. Again, this is the importance of the individual voice.
I feel connected to other people on the spectrum.
That's going here.
Kind of agree, because some people have the same exact things that I go through, but then also somewhat disagree, because there's like higher functioning and lower functioning, so it's kind of hard to connect to people that are like, I don't know how to say that. Yeah.
I got that, yeah. Because they're so different, I guess, it could be, harder to, connect in some degree, but we may not all go through the same exact things, but as a label, like autism, I think we can all like connect to that, and that's how I feel like with the label, I feel like there's a good sense of community there.
I do agree. It's like, although we have different stories about of autism, I believe that we where we can relate to each other and still like
Have different perspectives?
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, I feel like, especially right now, it's like we spread apart because, we're scared to say that we're autistic. But I believe that we need to start to group together and start to educate people and, you know.
I've noticed a rise in communities online
Yeah,
for autism.
neurodiversity and stuff
Yeah.
like that, so.
When I first found out, it was like great to like deep dive into the internet and get all these autistic perspectives, and I connected with that online. But then when I went in real life and I started to meet people or started to talk to people more, I felt just kind of isolated again, and I felt kind of like that same thing. I think it's just the same thing. If I'm in a group of neurotypical people, if I'm in a group of autistic people, I'm just gonna still kind of feel alienated, and so I just kind of stopped trying after a while.
It helps when you don't have to explain yourself to others and you can just relax and hang out without any judgment.
Honestly.
That's so right, Joe.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, do you want to all put our hands in and go like, autism? Right. Oh my gosh, wait, are we actually gonna do this?
I guess so.
Okay, ready?
1, 2, 3.
So I really enjoyed this video. There's another video out by Anthony Padilla that I haven't watched because I wanted to do a reaction video, but this one had come out and I think 2 different people sent it to me, and so I was like, okay, I should probably react to this one, and so I did. And I don't know, it's interesting to see like how different people can feel. I definitely understand feeling more isolated or having trouble maybe relating with people on different levels, but what I've learned is the more you get to know people who are on different levels, you start to realize like that's you, just like manifesting in a different way. And I don't know how to like, not you as a person, but like the things you experience or like things you can relate to. You're like, okay, I see what's happening here, but it just takes maybe more effort, I guess, and more understanding. Because a lot of times when you are, you know, higher functioning or a lower level autistic or whatever, you get used to how you're supposed to be with neurotypical people. So like there's like this comfort zone of people like who are just like you, and then there's like what you expect with neurotypical people, but then when you have people who aren't like you and who aren't with what you've always been exposed to, it can be difficult to relate to someone who might be nonverbal, who might need a lot of support and stuff like that. So can definitely relate. I think it's something that we should kind of strive to start to understand people more, and that's something I want to do with my life, becoming an OTA and all that stuff. But anyway, this video is going to be super long, so thank you for sticking around for it. Thank you, Jubilee, for making this video. I do like that they kind of let a lot of things that need to be known about autism kind of come through with their conversations and everything. So yeah, what did you guys think of this video? What did you think of my reaction to this video? Let me know the answer to both of those in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit the like button. And if you want to hear autism related content from me, I upload to this channel usually every Thursday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you're having a wonderful week, and I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye! Fun fact, I set all of this up for me to record it and do it very easily, and I pushed the stream button instead of the record button, so that sucks a lot.